That's sad. I want that back. Chris, what's going on, man? Look, we got a new face.
How are we doing? Okay.
Those are some big old dimples you got there. That's nice. Keep smiling. I like those are some nice dimples.
Oh,
Improving the show.
Wow.
We got to get him. We got to get him nice and uncomfortable before we even get going.
Well, welcome to the show, Chris. I'm glad to have you.
Yes, thanks.
All right, so yeah, we'll let people get funneling in here, and while we're doing that, why don't we have you introduce yourself, Chris, a little bit about yourself, so that the new listeners can figure out who you are, because you're going to be around for a little while.
Possibly. Pool player from the UK. I live on a little island called Jersey, which is like 9 miles by 5 miles wide. It's about 10 miles away from France. So I'm really the only player over here where I live. I started playing maybe properly in 2019. I played English 8-ball and a bit of snooker before that. So now I'm just trying to enter all of the matchroom events, some of the Euro Tour bits, maybe a GB9 here or there, but just really try and find my way in the game and see if I can go any good distance, really.
Sure. And you just played in the UK Open, had a couple of decent scalps. Of course, we wanted to have you and Jim on because you guys both played in this event. So let's hear your takeaways first off. What did you think?
The event was amazing. It's just unbelievable. The venue was maybe a better pool venue even than Mandalay Bay was in 2019 for the US Open. It's just it's a custom built sports venue, maybe 20,000 seats or something. It was just a great production again. They hardly ever put a foot wrong. Matchroom tables were great. Playing conditions were brilliant. One day it rained really heavy outside, so the tables played a bit heavy one day, but that's nothing to do with Matchroom. Just a great environment to play pool in, really.
Jim, what do you think? You were there.
Yep, I got the same opinion. It was the conditions were fantastic. I mean, what we see on one side of it is one thing, and then what happens behind the scenes is another. But what they put out in front for the players to play on, the conditions, the arena was great. It was nice to play. It was nice to get a taste of what a matchroom table really feels like to play on. It is different, we knew that going into it. The setup was great. They put the tables into little groups of 4 so that one referee could look after that one group of tables, and that worked pretty well, kind of thing. They got the most out of the referee's time that they could. Again, same old thing as usual. We can discuss whether or not the rules are correct for Matchroom. The one being on the spot with the magic rack and break whenever you like. It's a little bit easy. Some players got caught out by half decent players because the level the level you needed to play to make it different for one of the top guys was not particularly high, really. So a lot of the top players weren't happy that the advantages they would get normally with their, the break that they've developed over years, they were getting the same results as somebody who can't break the balls, which, they weren't happy about. Winner break format, fine for me, no problems with that, really. And I enjoyed sitting there watching the matches once I was done in the tournament. But, as always, there's things that they could improve on, which I'll probably go into later on. Yeah.
Well, let's hear from you, Panozzo. What did you think about, I guess, obviously you weren't there. You were watching from home like the rest of us. So what'd you think?
No, I thought the arena was fantastic. I thought it was probably the best setup that I've seen them put together yet. The three TV type tables up front looked really good. I loved that it was in a venue that had seating around it and that horseshoe and some seating upstairs. I'd love to see it get, I would love to see an event like this develop to the point where it's a staple at the same place every year at the same time every year, and you start to build up an audience and a crowd, because it would be really cool to see those seats full. It would make it a spectacular venue then. But I thought the arena was great. I heard a lot of players and a lot of people talking about the same type of things Jim was mentioning in terms of format and that type of thing. And, it's all these things kind of going hand in hand. I mean, if you have, let me ask you this, Jim. What do you think Matchroom's ideal end game is? Is it wood rack, referee racking, 4-inch pockets, one on the spot? Is that where they would eventually like to be if they can get enough referees, if they can get all 4-inch pocket tables? Would that be the end game?
Right. Unofficially, and just looking into my crystal ball, how I foresee it in the future, a US Open just round the corner. I would not be surprised at all if it is 9 on the spot, 4-inch pockets, magic rack, and break box. Where I came up from with that information, I couldn't tell you, but that's what I would see a tournament like the US Open looking like. So international open kind of rules.
Isn't that the same? Isn't that what they were doing like at the 2019 US Open? I know for a fact they had the 9 on the spot in the 2019 US Open, and I thought they were using template racks, but maybe they had some refs racking, but they let you break off the side rail. So anyway, yeah, they've been trying to figure that out, right? It's not a new idea for sure.
Listen, Emily was out the back on one of the practice tables with Tyler Steyer and Jason Shaw, and they were showing her all the different breaks and its break speeds and how easy it is. And she got a lot of information off Jason, especially at that moment. And then the question was asked to Shane, which one would you prefer? And of course, Shane's going well in the tournament. He's just played a quarter-final match against Mike Beisenbosch, where the 9's just going in the pocket every single time he hits the pack. And he loves that break. He's got a crushing break. He's playing 6-ball the whole time. So at that moment in time, he's feeling good about the 1 on the spot. But Emily just blankly asked him, which one's more difficult? And he says 9 on the spot.
Well, I'll tell you what. I remember when template racks came out, and I was kind of like confused. I didn't really understand like why we'd want to do this. I still remember the first time I got one. I bought a magic rack, and I remember driving home from the pool hall, and I had a table, a 9-foot table with worn cloth and tight pockets, and I slapped that magic rack on the table and racked 9-ball, and I just like, well, let's try it out. And my first inning, I broke and ran 5 racks, and I was like, this is the stupidest game ever. Like, I just shot into the 1, everything opens up, you just shoot him in, and I'm like, I'm not Jason Shaw, but like, this is just, it just was, I compared to all the 9-ball I'd played through the 90s, like it was just so stupid easy. And so I've always kind of like, yeah, I mean, for people, I think that what happens though is that you've got the players, and I'm not like, but you got like the players at the top that can take advantage of that and run so many tables. But then you've got the people watching. And when it comes to people watching, I mean, almost, you go into a random pool hall, give a guy a pool cue and give him a magic rack, template rack. It's not going to change him into Jason Shaw. So for most players, they could play 1 on the spot with a template rack and still play a game of pool where there's multiple innings and there's some battles back and forth. But when you get to the level of like, some of these top players, they're just running out sets, and it's kind of it breaks once you get the skill to a certain level, it kind of breaks down a little bit.
The game is too easy. The game is too easy like that on slick cloth. You can make it 4-inch pockets. Everything's falling anyway. It's just the game is purely just too easy for that size of a tournament and for that prestigious tournament. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No. I guess what I'm getting back to is, let's say they were able to do away with the magic rack and put referees on every table that can rack using a wooden rack. Then where's the rack, the 1 or the 9 on the spot? What would be? I mean, then could you go back to 1 on the spot and have to hit them hard?
No.
With 4-inch pockets?
No, because you saw it. They were hand racking in the semis from the quarters to the end, and Shane was still playing 6-ball. Still playing 6-ball, and they're hand racking. Because they
there's 4 1/4-inch pockets too.
But the thing is, the one thing you need to avoid, and it doesn't even matter if the 9-ball is getting made on the break, if it's floating towards a pocket or to the bottom rail, you never have a twitchy 9-ball getting played. Position on the 9 becomes so easy You never have that 50-yard line. You never have that tricky 9 ball to finish it where the player could squeak it and the player could miss it. It's never there. So the 9 has to be stuck there. So even when they're hand racking, they're still going to tap the table slightly to make sure that the balls behind the 9 are stuck. As soon as you do that, the wing ball's flying in. So there's no... In order to make sure the 9 ball stays in the center of the table, you're guaranteeing that the wing ball is going to be made. So the game is too easy with 1 on the spot. Go to 9 on the spot, then they can use a magic rack, and you still have to slam them. Then they don't need the players to rack or referees to rack. They can continue to use the magic rack right through the tournament. No rule changes. Players are still going to have to slam the rack. There's never going to be a question about a soft break. There's never going to be a question. People were soft breaking during the tournament because referees weren't watching. People were still soft breaking during the tournament because the referees weren't watching them. As soon as they got down, they started to soft break to try and make a 6-pack to get back into it. They can't do that with 9 on the spot. They have to slam it, you know?
Well, yeah, you're right. I was going to say with the 9 on the spot, too, they have to cut break. They have to drag their cue ball to the side rail and back across, which means that the skill in the break is much tougher. It's harder to hit that cut break than a straight break. And that you can come across, and it's harder to control the cue ball. You can hit the bottom of the 9 ball and end up on the foot rail. You can lose your cue ball cross side. You can run into balls and get kissed around a lot more easily. So I don't know. Maybe I haven't hit the cut break with the 9 on the spot as well. Like I know certain players have that break really, really well, especially the Europeans that have had those rules for longer. But would you agree that it's a harder break to control?
It's a harder break to control, and especially if you bring the break box in and say you've got to go in a diamond with it as well. Then it becomes real hard. Then you've got to hit it really, really hard and thin and control that cue ball. So there's going to be a lot of balls flying around. I think a lot of players will just go straight on and hope to make a random ball, or play the 1 in the center with the 9 on the spot. If you're breaking from inside off the rail, sometimes just playing to make the 1 in the center is the best chance of making a ball in the break. But then you're random on whether you get on the lowest ball, so there's no control in the 1 ball. So it just makes it a bit more random, and players are going to have to think about it a bit more instead of just playing a stop shot on the 1 and hope and you're making balls all the time, you know. But Chris will tell you, Chris played more matches than I did.
Yeah, where do you stand on this, Chris?
Well, what I did see during the tournament, and I don't know how they can avoid this other than having a ref on every table, I saw a couple of very well-known players using a soft cut break. And that is just, you're talking about, just drop-ins every time they came to the table. It happened one match particular I watched. The guy ran 5 out of the first 6 racks, probably, and under.
Come on, if you're going to be on the show, you got to start being ready to call people out. Let's hear who it was. Who was it?
I'll call one of them out. No problem.
So the person I saw do it was Abdullah Al Youssef, I think. So I saw him play Elliot Sanderson. I think that's the same player. But Elliot got the ref over 3 times. The ref stood, watched the guy kind of. It looked like a cut break. You don't just call anybody out for doing something wrong, but it is what it is. So he definitely wasn't slamming them, wasn't getting the cue ball to pop, just getting the cue ball to track to the side rail, out into the middle of the table near the blue spot on a snooker table, and nobody in the top 50 in the world is going to miss from there really, with no balls tied up. So yeah. Not ideal.
I don't know. I mean, if there's one thing I want to push back on Jim, stop it with that break from the box stuff. I mean, I can't stand that argument. Like we're trying to expand the audience of the people who are like going to be introduced to pool, and if you're gonna start, you just can't put all these like 3-point rules and break from the box. Like the average person
3-point rule.
No. Well, the break from the box is like those types of rules apply to a 9-ball rack when breaking the balls. No one's going to want to watch 9-ball if they don't understand it, and there's all these nuances to the rule.
Well, right? What's to understand about that? I personally said,
what's the box?
when I was asked about it, I said, if you want to play and make a rule on the break, just let everybody stick it on the spot. Everybody sticks a white in exactly the same spot, and then you've just got to slam it and hope that something goes in. Why not just do it that way? Does it matter where? Okay, you can. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with the break box. What I'm saying is, in my little crystal ball, I'm surprised if that's the rules for the break at the US Open.
It would be good if they changed it up and we tried something different in one of them. But I think they've got to try stuff, and things will change over maybe the next 2-3 years. They'll change a little bit, but it would be a shame if they took away the possibility of Shane or FSR or Jason or someone breaking and running a full set live on Sky Sports or the Zone, whatever. It would be.
100%.
You know, that's kind of like the 9 data or the 147 for us at the moment. So I think it would be a shame if we lost the possibility of that happening altogether.
I agree 100%.
I think personally, yes. Just go to 9 on the spot, break from wherever you want. It's still a tough enough break. You still have to have knowledge to execute it. And if you hit it slightly wrong, you are losing the cue ball. You know that cue ball is going to float in behind the rack. So I mean, maybe, but I'm just going on little rumors that I might have heard and might not have heard while I was there.
I think if we're going to do anything to the break, we got to make it more simple, though. I just can't stand the idea.
Huh? What do you want to say? You're not doing anything to it, Matrimar.
I mean, I get that, but at the end of the day, like if we're going to expand the sport, like we can't keep streaming to the same. You know, there's only like if you looked at the Facebook and the YouTube, there's only like 6,000 people that were watching this. This is now it's only Facebook, but there's only 6,000 people watching this. That's not that many people. We need to expand the sport.
That was one thing that annoyed me a little bit being there. Chris will tell you as well. Chris, when you're standing outside the venue or anywhere, is there anything that gives you an idea that there's a big pool tournament going on? When you're standing anywhere outside the venue, could you see anything that showed you there might be a pool table on here?
No, I couldn't, and that I never really noticed that until you said it. But that's in contrast to Vegas in 2019, where they had all sorts of stuff all around,
banners everywhere.
Even the Mandalay Bay, the huge screen outside, they had Jason and Shane up on that, and just loads of different bits like that. It was really good.
And there was lots of people out in the street. There was like a food court kind of place just directly around the corner with a lot of bars, and that was full every single day for the entire week, completely full. I don't know what was going on. There's a UK Open, massive big pool tournament going on in the massive big box of a building that they're looking straight at, and they have no idea that there's anything going on in there.
Yeah.
Some of these people could have been floating in and having a look. There was all the people that are milling around that area. It was always busy outside. Chris said there was loads of people, lovely weather. Not one person had any idea that there was a massive pool tournament going on. That disappointed me a bit. There wasn't even a banner outside. They could have been round there handing leaflets out and saying entrance fee, half price, bring a friend, blah, 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 blah. Even if people just come in for 10 minutes and say, oh, yeah, I don't know, it's nothing really for me. But, why is there nothing outside there to indicate? There's not even at the front door anything that says UK Open pool, nothing. That, for me, they dropped the ball a little bit there. They didn't have any promotion outside of the venue. Only when you got in there, you realized, oh, it's pool tables, yeah? Oh, okay.
I don't disagree with that at all. But I mean, I wasn't there, but now we're getting into the argument of like, well, you'll always have those, that one person that's, runs a big tournament in their local area, and they call up the local news, and the news comes down and they cover it, and everyone's like, oh my God, that's genius. We should all do that. And then it turns into nobody actually doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep. I mean, this is part of the self-inflicted, maybe, I mean, to be honest, like pool's been waiting for a savior for how long now. And now that Matchroom is along and actually doing things and, actually growing the game, I think for the first time in 15 years, we just sit around and nitpick them and talk about how, everything that they do is just evil and dumb and stupid. And, we've all partaken in it at one point and another, but like the idea is everything about pool is like, we're waiting for somebody to just come in and save us. Like tomorrow we're going to have ESPN come through and they're going to do all of our marketing for us. And we're not going to have to actually do any of the hard work ourselves. And, all these big TV companies are going to come and cover our events because ESPN is saving it. We got to just do the work, I guess. Right.
Yeah. And you mentioned that it's like, I always think about it like, what are we comparing this to? Because if we're comparing this to the dream that we have of, a wish list of everything that we could ever want in a tournament that's been run, and if we had an unlimited budget and a team of 20 people planning this for years, but if we compare it to nothing, which is what we had in the UK last year for Matchroom, then it's pretty good. You know what I mean? It's a pretty, if you were to graph the number of Matchroom professional events in the UK year over year, it went from nothing to pretty awesome. So it's like, that's a pretty good improvement. It's just, we're also perfectionistic and we're also passionate and we all have these ideas, but like in the end, you know, we got to just say, hey, which direction are we going? And things tend to be going pretty darn good.
The one thing about Matchroom that a lot of the rest of them haven't done before, the promoters and all these, they do genuinely, some people might not believe it, but they do genuinely listen to the players, you know, and they do listen to stuff that goes on Facebook, reasonable comments and criticisms they will listen to, like podcasts like this, if we come up with a reasonable criticism, they do listen to it. But they are in a situation where they have to be careful where, you know, what areas they put all their efforts in, because they can't tackle everything. I mean, Emily mentioned it in the interview. It's very difficult for them to tackle everything in one go. So every time they do a tournament, they try and improve on certain little areas, and you have to give them time to come up with something. I mean, if things are still the same in like 5 years' time, I mean, Emily said it herself, she's only about 30% happy with the product that they're bringing out just now. And that says to me that that she's looking to keep improving, you know? She's not just saying, this is it, this is what it's going to be, and we're happy with what we have. You know, she knows that the things that need to be improved, the whole system that they use, the digipool and all that kind of thing for the players, that needs to be improved. That was quite difficult to understand. It was quite difficult to figure out, and we weren't really given any information beforehand on how this would work and how we would use it in order to know when our matches would be scheduled. So a lot of people were, you know, they were just, the tournament desk was inundated with people asking questions that could have been answered before the start. And it put pressure on Rob Spencer and Emily at the tournament desk, because all these questions, they didn't really need to be answered at that stage. They could have been answered in a simple email or a how-to instructional video or whatever before the whole thing started. They didn't have a players meeting as well, these kind of things. So they put a little bit of extra pressure on themselves in the first couple of days of the tournament. That was a bit needless, I think. But again, don't do it next time. Make as many mistakes as you want. You know, I've been training air traffic controllers for over 20 years, and I say to them all, make as many mistakes as you want. There's a million you can make. Don't start making the same ones over and over again, because that's impossible.
There's something very disconcerting about an air traffic controller trainer who tells someone to make as many mistakes as they want. That's not what I want to hear as a frequent flyer, all right?
Don't make,
Jim, I'm about to go on a flight
over and over again.
Jim, I'm about to be on a flight in 24 hours to Vegas, and you're telling me this. That's great. I feel good about this.
We don't just give these kids live traffic to work with. We've got simulators and stuff like that, you know. So don't worry about it. We know what we're doing. But I say to them, make as many mistakes as you want. That's how you learn. Don't keep making the same ones, because then you can't do it. Simple.
So I guess shout out to Christoph. We're going to be talking about you later, of course, because we're going to be talking some World Cup of pool action, which I think is going to be fun. So you are going to get some airtime later on. But until then, we're still talking about the UK Open. So the fact that Emily said, I'm assuming that you talked to Emily, that said she was only 30% happy with that. Is that right, Jim?
I think that was the number she came out with, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, if you can say whatever you want about Emily Frazier, like her work ethic is damn near second to none, and I don't think that she'll ever look at an event and be any higher than 50%, which is probably the reason they're driving forward so quickly. But there were some, I guess, hiccups with this event, and Jim, you had talked about a few of them. So let's start with the bad parts of this event before we, I guess, highlight some of the better things that we liked.
Oh, you're asking me to point out the bad parts?
Well, you were there, right? So I can start with Chris. I don't care.
So was Chris. I thought Chris was on here to take some of the heat off me.
Yeah, name.
Well, we know that we had scheduling issues, right? So I'll throw it out there. There were scheduling issues for the players. Now I can't take it from there because I wasn't one of them. So how's that? I'll take the heat for it.
I don't think the scheduling issues were too bad. I mean, you knew when you knew what order you were on, so you knew the table you were on, and then you knew what order you were on. So I might be third on table 15, and if the session starts at 11 a.m., then I'll probably be on about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. But it's not, it wasn't very painful because we're still in like a really comfortable environment. It's not like we're in a crappy hotel in the middle of nowhere, and you're sitting around and you hate it, and it's a different environment. I didn't think the scheduling was too bad. Did you have to wait very long for any of your games, Jim?
I have a slightly different story.
This is why I was trying to get
on
you
paper.
out.
All right, on paper, what Matchroom want is they want to be able to say, okay, the day starts at 9 o'clock in the morning. You are scheduled already, and this is fine on day one because nobody's played any matches, so nothing has started. So they can say we're starting at 9. We've made this lovely schedule, and here you are. There's going to be 5 matches on every table, roughly. I think some tables had 6 maybe. And you look for your match number, and you see that your match number, for me, I'm match number 3 on table 19. Great, no problem. I know there's 2 matches on before me. I can keep up to date with the score and pick and choose when I head to the venue. Brilliant, fantastic. Now, halfway through match number 1, the tablets that are being used on the tables, they all go down. There's no updating of scores. People are taking their telephones out and using the telephone to do the scores. I have to do it during my match. So I'm sitting in my hotel and I'm looking at Digipool, 0-0. Half an hour later, still 0-0. They haven't started yet. What's going on here? You know, so nothing's getting updated. And then the tablet goes back on again. Match finished. It's on match number 2. Oh, geez. Okay, hold on a minute. Match 2. What happened there? So then you rush into the event. This is a hypothetical. I was already at the event doing interviews, but this is what I've heard from other people. Now, because it's the first round, all of a sudden, those matches that are getting finished 9-0s and 9-1s, you know, and they're going very, very quickly. So then Matchroom are thinking, oh, hold on a minute. We've got the live feed booked for 6 hours. We're running out of matches. So then they start looking for players who they feel they want to get onto the live stream, and they're trying to get to them before they start their matches to say, well, I want to move you to the live stream table because, you know, we're ahead of schedule. And then all of a sudden players are just about to start their match. Oh, wait a minute. All right, put your cues together. Hurry up. We're going to move you over to this table. Then there's confusion there. And then the people who were said, oh, I'm match number 5 on table 12. But Skylar Woodward, who was number 4, has now just been moved. Now there's a dead match. And all of a sudden, oh, I'm now next. How am I supposed to get there? Then they're looking for the players to say, well, if they're in the arena already, we can grab them and put them on the table. If not, how much time do we give them before they're late for the match? Because technically, there's 1 match less on this table. So that causes confusion. And how long do we leave that table sitting for now before we start penalising players a rack? You know, because some people it takes them 20 minutes to get from the hotel. Some people it only takes 3 minutes. Some people are in the venue just enjoying the pool and waiting for the match to start. And then you get onto day 2 and you have half the losers round gets played at the end of day 1 and the other half gets played at the start of day 2. Now the scheduling, they put little bits of paper on the tournament desk, so it said, you know, schedule will be made at 3 o'clock for 5 o'clock matches. Some players, they don't know this is happening. They've not been used to the Digipool yet. They've looked and they've seen, okay, some matches have been scheduled for 5 o'clock already, but maybe only 15 matches. So they're looking at theirs and going, oh, I haven't been scheduled. That match has been scheduled for 5 o'clock. My match hasn't been scheduled. Therefore, I must be playing at 9 o'clock. They leave. They go home. They've got to play 9 o'clock in the morning. They're going to go and get something to eat and they're going to get an early night. But they haven't finished doing the schedule yet. They've only scheduled like 15 matches. So then it gets to put the note up saying all matches from match number 225 plus, those matches will all be played at 9 o'clock. Which match number do I have? Match number 225. So I'm standing at the tournament desk and I'm saying, right, just to confirm, it's 225 and above that play tomorrow, or is it above 225? Because I don't want to be left to going, yeah, and they say, well, no, you were 225. It was above 225. So I just want confirmation. As I'm doing that, Emily says, well, we're actually got a couple of tables free. If you can find your opponent, then you can play now. All right. I looked at that and said, so I'm supposed to walk around and find some random Swedish guy that I've never met before, but I want to play now. So I'm thinking, right, I'll go and try and find this guy. I couldn't find him. So I went back and I said, look, I can't find a guy. Let's just say I'm playing at 9 o'clock. But they were at that stage. I got the impression anyway at that stage they were looking for matches to get on the tables because people were missing because they didn't know how the app was working yet and the scheduling was. Let's just say, I mean, myself and Nate, we've done the VG10 and that was on a very lower, that's like you're talking about 32 players. If you leave responsibility up to players themselves to look after themselves, then you're asking for trouble at a certain stage. And I think on paper, it all looked very good for what Matchroom wanted to do. And perhaps when the players are used to this kind of system, that's fine. but they weren't. It wasn't really explained to them well enough, and perhaps it was just considered that it would be very easy for the players to know what they're doing. Fortunately, as I was walking out the venue, the guy came up and tapped me on the shoulder and says, "You're Jim Telfer." I went, "Yeah." He says, "We're supposed to play now." I said, "No, we're supposed to play at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning." He says, "I don't want to play at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning." I said, "Okay, come with me." We went back inside, went to Emily, said, "Well, he's found me." And she went, "Okay, I have a table for you, go and play." Now, is that really the way it should be at a big tournament? I'm not entirely sure, but I think just you're organising 256 players on that day. And it's so tough. It's just so tough to do. And there's only 2 or 3 guys at the tournament desk that are trying to figure this out and do it. Players are just like, "Oh, what's going on? I don't know. Or maybe I'll just go home. I think I must be playing tomorrow because I'm not playing now." Nobody knew. And of course, the tournament desk is just tens and tens and tens of players all standing around the tournament desk saying, "When am I supposed to play? I don't know. What's this?" And then they say, "Look on the digipool. What is digipool?" And they don't even know where the site is to find the bracket and everything. They go, "What, digipool? What is digipool?" Says, "Yeah, this site. Never seen it before." "You don't use Q-Score?" "No, we don't use Q-Score." So what? Completely unprepared.
So I guess I'm looking at this, and Emily chimes in, and I
love
think what
that she said the story is long-winded.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I think what throws the wrench into it is it's good, right? I mean, they're giving us more content, the people at home, the people who can't be there, by throwing an extra matchup on the stream, and I think that's really, honestly, I mean, why wouldn't we want to watch more pool at home?
Absolutely.
So I think the idea, so I think maybe, I mean, a potential solution for the future is to have, maybe a, when you're scheduling out these matches too deep, have absolute dead nuts fixed scheduling, unless you don't, right? So like you could throw like a little wild card on there, and the little wild card means basically this is subject to change. So if you have Shane Van Boning playing against, I don't know, Jim Telfer, and they know that it's going to be in the second. They know that it's going to be in the second match or later on in the day, like this situation. You could put a little asterisk on there, a wild card on there, and saying like, this is where you're playing. You're playing on table 12, unless something opens up over here, and then you have a contingency plan for anything that changes. And these are the only matches that can change. And the rest of these are absolutely fixed, no matter what.
Yeah, I think I just bit of that on Saturday. Maybe they had an asterisk next to one of the games. I think it was actually Shane's. They may, and they may have moved that one. But trying to organise 256.
It's very tough.
Supposed adults who you see some pretty stupid things and you hear some daft, crazy things at these tournaments. Not easy.
I think one of the most dangerous things is putting any of the responsibility into the hands of the players.
Sure,
that's something that you want to avoid that at all costs. But and it's really interesting that we're talking about all this, because I just, and I'm not trying to plug the magazine or anything, but I just finished writing an editorial for this next issue, and a lot of it was on the pieces on the types of things that we find to talk about and criticize now are so much smaller and nuanced than what we used to have to argue about, right? So we're getting into this scheduling in the first and second round of a 256 player tournament. I mean, there's always going to be things, but as these nitpicky things get smaller and smaller, to me, that's progress on the bigger scale of how these tournaments are. So it comes back to, and you mentioned it early on, Jim. I mean, they're doing bigger things, bigger events, everything that they do now, and the same with Predator. Every time they do it, they're trying to make it bigger and grander, so they're adding new things. You add new things, there's going to be hiccups. You have hiccups, you just fix them, and you move on. That just was, I think that what we're talking about are pretty minor things in the scope of things.
Well, to that, if you don't mind, Mike, if you don't mind me, because this is the dumbest thing I've heard, and the dumbest thing that you could possibly argue about is a purple or orange 5. Who cares? But these are the things we're whining about now. Like, the only people that care about this are like these old traditionalists.
Who cares about it? It was one of his 20 questions.
Yeah, but so is pineapple.
You can have some.
I mean, come on.
The point is you can have a preference on this.
the point that you're putting your flag in the ground and you're saying, this is where I stand. I need an orange 5-ball. And like, that's what you're dividing like the game on. It's the dumbest thing in the world, but that's where we're at now. We're arguing these stupid things that really honestly mean nothing. It's your preference for a color over another color. It's nothing.
And what I'm saying is that means that the bigger issues are being handled.
Exactly.
So all you have
Exactly.
to bitch about are these small things, and that's where we want to be. And to me, all these small things are going to get taken care of. Jim, you talked about it before. Make mistakes, don't make them twice.
Exactly.
Okay,
I mean, listen, Matchroom is established as the number one in a one-table setup venue and a production. The number one. Nobody comes anywhere close. They went to the 2 tables and 3 tables. They've kept that standard for those venues. But now they're going out there into the 2, 5, 6. And this is only the second tournament they've done. For us to expect everything to be perfect is just stupid. It's not going to happen. And like I said, 100%. They do listen. They do learn from the things. And like Mike said, I think one of the things that they could learn from this one is don't give their players all that responsibility. Make it very simple for the players and say, I expect you to be here at 11 o'clock at that table, not, hang around and wait, because the players are not good at that. Or not all 256, obviously, but there is going to be a group of players and some kind of players, and it's going to cause you more work herding these guys and looking after these guys. And it's not like I'm bashing Matchroom, and of course they move tables because they want to use up all the time that they have for
sure.
I mean,
we want to watch matches. Nobody wants dead time watch on matches. A table that's got a TV on it.
But it's last minute things that they're having to do, which it's not their fault. It just happens like that. Oh, we're behind schedule. Who have we got out there? And they're not putting out fires, but trying to organize things very, very quickly. And it's difficult to do. And of course, these things happen. But I mean, the stuff that went well far outweighs the stuff that perhaps didn't go well and that needs to be improved. I heard that they were taking a lot of feedback on the Digi app, and I think it was even being improved as the tournament was going on. There was different ways you could search for your own name, and they really are investing in this app to make it something that is really, really usable for a big 256 tournament. And they're doing it at the time as well. So I mean, they are improving stuff. And but yeah, you asked me what was the major issue, and that would be it. I would also like to see them go to one table quicker in the tournament, so that the fans feel more relaxed about creating an atmosphere without disturbing anybody else. I don't think they needed to be on 3 tournaments for the quarterfinals for 8. I think they can do that in 2 tournaments if they get the scheduling correct on the television. And that was the only thing. There was quite a lot of fans in there. It was nice to see that many people sitting watching, but everybody felt as if they had to dumb it or keep the volume down a little bit because there's another table playing just over there. And I think for the TV, it comes a lot nicer across if you can really hear the atmosphere. And so I'd like to see them come down to the one table a little bit quicker than they did, perhaps. Yeah.
Well, I think if you could do natural segregation in a room like that too, right? So
also, yes,
you could. I mean, when you're tearing down, they had how many tables was there?
24
tables. I mean, when you're tearing down, obviously they're not tearing them all down after the finals is played, right? You're tearing them down overnight in between days when you don't need them anymore. Or I'm assuming that's the case, right? That's what they did.
They left them all up. I think they left them all up. We were able to go and practice even. I think Friday was the last day I played, so they just moved it closer in. In fact, I played a game on Wednesday night. We had to move tables, so my opponent spotted a roll on the table. So, someone from the tournament came over. I think Emily came over. They had a look at the roll. They said, thanks for letting us know. We won't use this table tomorrow. Moved us to a different table. And then when we went back the next day, kind of the barriers moved in. So people could only go so far down the room. And then beyond that barrier, that's the practice tables for all the players to kind of go in and do the thing out of the way.
On Saturday and Sunday, they'd removed the majority of the tables. They had 6 practice tables at the back on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, the rest had been moved.
So that would, you could, I mean, in the future, you could naturally segregate the room out to where instead of the 6 practice tables, you could have your second table being played on that too, and then the atmosphere doesn't matter so much when your cheering is on 2 sides of the room, right?
For me, that would be something. I mean, again, there are other things that are more of a priority, but for me, that would be something that I would look at in the future to make sure that people who are watching one table can react properly to that table without worrying about what's going on another table.
And one of the snooker guys too mentioned that too. You know, he was kind of saying like the atmosphere is completely different from snooker. Like he was kind of taken back when he did something good and people started clapping for him, and like just a normal kind of way. And he was taken back by that a little bit, but he said he really liked that atmosphere and he was enjoying it. So, I mean, I don't know that it has to be that case, right? I mean, are we trying to be snooker where we're being very respectful and as quiet as you can? Are we being 9-ball pool where, as a player, if you just get used to the different stimuli? I mean, most of the time these players are playing and in practice, they're practicing in, super loud clubs or, pool rooms that have music blaring on. You have drunk people walking all the way around you. I mean, do we need to have it in that kind of sense? And I mean, that's a real question. Let's open that up. I mean, what do you guys think?
There was music being played the whole time, so I don't see what difference it makes if some people are clapping and cheering.
Yeah.
Demetrius, what you got? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you were going to look at what the flagship of Matchroom production is, it's the Mosconi Cup. So what makes the Mosconi Cup exciting is audience engagement and audience energy. When you're watching like people complain, some people complain like, oh, in the 80s we had Keith McCready and all these guys that had their antics and there was more personality. The players are so stoic now. Yeah, but it's not the players that need to be the entertainers. If we could bring the energy into the room with the players watching. So I think one of the big things, I think, was it Mike that you'd mentioned, filling up the stands and things like this. And I know I've been to the players meeting where Emily's really encouraged the players like, hey, this is grow the sport, so the players have a responsibility too, which is when you're not playing your matches, watch matches, stick around, you can mingle with other people and, spread the word of the game, but you could also bring some of that energy into the room. So anyway, the bottom line is, yes, I think that the goal should be to try to fill the stands with people that are, gasping when there's a miss and applauding wildly when there's a good shot and bringing the tension into the room. I think that that's a big, big part of the production.
Panozzo?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we want a lot of people in there. We want people screaming and cheering. We want the players to be more engaged in their matches and, knowing that people are watching them and following them and rooting for them or rooting against them or whatever the case is. So, yeah, of course, we want, we're 9-ball fans. The game lends itself to smash bang, whether it's the fans or the balls or whatever. So yeah, of course.
2-9 combo.
Well,
Chris,
Emil, go, Chris. Yeah.
Oh, so, just the more noise, the better. It's just nothing worse than being in somewhere that's deadly silent. It'd be great. Something else that would be great is if there was a way for the people who are walking around all the different tables and things to know when a table goes hill, get people walking over there. Everybody rushes around it, watches the end of that game. Another one goes hill, other side of the arena. Everybody rushes over there. A way of making that happen would be good.
I've got a comment on that. So I remember
I was literally going to say that, Panozzo. I was literally going to say that the blue light special. Here we go.
We got the blue light special on table 6.
My very first U.S. Open was in 2005. And I remember I played, it was to get in the money. I was on the loser side and I was playing Danny Vasevich back when Kid Delicious, Anyway, he had me down 5-0 and I clawed my way there. I was down 10-7 and I got it back to 10-10. And all of a sudden I'm nervous, my first U.S. Open, right? My first pro tournament. I'm young, I'm playing this known player and it goes hill. And all of a sudden Scott Smith was the tournament director and he gets on the mic and he says, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call everyone's attention to table 16. We've got Demetrius Jelatis versus Danny Kid Delicious Vasevich. Hill, losers action match. Someone's going home. And all of a sudden, everyone in the room just looks over, and I'm just like, oh my God. Anyway, it's some things you never forget. So,
yeah, no, that's.
Emily wants the atmosphere. Spoke to her about it. Well, I could tell you a situation that happened. We were sitting, and Dave Duckide was playing on one of the side tables beside the main table. And he's finished his break. He's run a great rack or whatever. The match is quite exciting. So we started at, oh, David, okay. Maybe like 5 or 6, 7 of us. And John Lehman came over and told us to be quiet. Says, there's other matches going on, be quiet. And we're like, oh, okay then, sorry. Emily was sitting 2 seats away from us. said, well, you just told to be quiet. We said, yeah. She said, oh, bit of a shame, want a little bit of an atmosphere. I said, so can we do it again? And she went, yeah, go for it. Did it again. But we waited until the other table, the other main table, not the back table, you can't see them properly. The other main table had stopped playing. So we thought, well, show a bit of respect, wait until they've done it. So both tables were getting racked. Did it again. The tournament director, Rob Spencer, comes running out and basically has a scream at us and says, the next time you do it, you'll be doing it out in the parking lot. We're like, what do Matchroom want us to do? I mean, we're there and we want to. Of course, it's not going to be a Moscone Cup. You can't get a Moscone Cup atmosphere, but you want, the players enjoy it. David was laughing and joking and stuff like that and enjoying it. They don't like Chris said, players we don't like playing in silence. It's just not right, and you don't want silence and then just somebody shouting something. That's distracting. But
like Alex Pagulayan when he's drunk.
Yeah, well, something like that, so I'm still not entirely sure what.
Well, that's why I think
what they're looking from a crowd.
They all need to get on the same page about what they want. They need to be on the same page too. I mean, John Lehman should know what Emily wants, and they shod all be on the same page as well.
I think I think, to be honest with you, I think it's deeper than that. I don't think it's like a. This is the way that it's going to be. Like, I think they're trying to kind of work through it themselves and try to find out exactly what they're trying to be in these types of multi-table situations. I mean, this is the only. I mean, if you remove the Premier League pool, which is 2 tables, it is a multi-table event, but not really, right? This is I think the only 3rd multi-table tournament that they've done, right? The U.S. Open twice, and then now the UK Open. I mean, they're probably trying to find out. They're probably trying to wade through what they want their atmosphere to feel like. I mean,
World Championships twice as well.
World Championships as well.
Oh, in the World Championship, in the world, of course.
No, they know what they want.
I don't know, because Rob and Emily clearly aren't on the same page. If he's coming over and telling them just knock it off, and Emily's saying go ahead, I mean, I'm sure they're probably trying to find out what their atmosphere is in the building, and what works best for the players, what works best for the fans, what works best for the atmosphere. I'm sure everything is kind of hit and miss, and what's okay to one person might not be to the next person. And
so Chris mentioned the 10-10, hill matches and getting attention to them, things like that. Was I the only one that almost jumped out the window when Filler and Alexa went 10-10 and they wouldn't leave the other table with the camera? Mm-hmm. They kept focusing on the David Al-Kaidi, I think it was Mario He match.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Yeah. You've got Josh Filler's 10-10. The other guy's breaking, and you won't put these guys on ice for 3 minutes and show the other match. That one I almost jumped out the window. That one was just, I couldn't believe it.
Well, I will say this as far as I mean, we still have one more negative I think that we have to bring up, but my favorite part about the event was their ability to capture the other tables in what felt like a better flow.
Yeah, so for sure.
They did go through other tables, and not only with the cameras, but like through updates. And I personally, I got 4 monitors surrounding me right here. So I have, YouTube on this one. I got the Facebook on this one. I got a digital pool over here on this one. And I actually have the ability to pull all these things up and look at them all at the same exact time. But with that being said, I like the idea that I can get some updates from the commentators from time to time without having to look. I mean, that was one of my favorite parts about it, whether it's via video while they're doing dead time racking, or whether it's, just Phil, for the one good thing that I felt like he did during this event, giving updates on the tables.
Yeah.
I
mean, you can do, there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can do the running.
That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see that ticker
scoreboard ticker underneath. I mean, that's pretty simple stuff. But again, it's all baby steps. You're drinking out of a fire hose, trying to get all this kind of stuff done. There's going to be a lot of those little things that are going to get missed, and you'll catch them later. You'll can't believe you didn't think about this, or whatever the case is. So again, I got no problem with the event. I thought it was fantastic.
As far as I'm concerned, I mean, if they were, they have to concentrate on small or certain things every single time. And I think the 2 main things for me is the game was too easy. I think a lot of the players said that, and perhaps a better explanation to all the players on how to use the digipool. Once they've done that, I think they've solved any real issues that they had there. Yeah, I mean, other than that, it was a step in the right direction. I really enjoyed playing the event. I really enjoyed being there. The arena was great. That arena itself would be an awesome arena for the Mosconi Cup, because they can build the arena around the table. Then you have the higher seats. Chris will tell you the higher seats right around the back of the arena. They could expand.
Cool.
They could expand the seating in there to. They could probably double up on what they get at the moment at the Ali Pali, and it's a better location as well, roundabout when you go out of the arena for accessibility and stuff like that. I thought the copper box was really, really nice.
It looked great.
I thought it was good.
It looked great.
Yeah. I thought it was a good choice. I think that's one for definitely for more tournaments. Yeah.
So I guess the only thing else that I should bring up as far as negatives, and I mean, I honestly don't think this was a negative, but it had to be done on Facebook the entire time instead of DAZN. I don't know. Does anybody know what happened there? I honestly have no idea.
Obviously, some kind of miscommunication glitch, something between DAZN and Matchroom, because it was expected to be on DAZN. I can't believe Matchroom dropped the ball on that one, because that's their partner. So if Matchroom just didn't have it set into their programming or whatever the case is, but it ended up being on Facebook, so it was free. And then naturally, the people who had paid for DAZN, but then the people who paid for DAZN bitched that they had paid and they considered it a scam, and they were, all that kind of stuff. So it was, who knows what happened there, but I'm sure that's something to be addressed in the future too, because DAZN's just, they're a big partner. I mean, they put a lot of money into Matchroom. So, I would think that it was on DAZN.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I have no idea why it wasn't on DAZN. I mean, if Emily, if you're still in here and it's something that's it's public knowledge and you want to mention it in the comments, I think I'd like to know. But the people that whine about this stuff, it's like, I mean, the way I look at it is like, if you were told that you could make pool better by giving $20 to DAZN, whether or not like you got any content out of it, I want to meet that person, that fan. The person who calls themselves a fan of this game, I want to meet that person that says, I wouldn't give $20 to something to try to help grow a sport that you supposedly like. Like, I want to meet that person. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, like, sure, like, you're paying $20, you expect a service for it. Sure. I get that. I like, if I go to a restaurant and I order a meal and I pay for it, I want that meal, right? I understand the idea of that. But if you look at it as, like, just in a sense of, like, it's especially during COVID. Like, I gave money to some of my favorite restaurants for no reason. Like, I'll buy gifts, or I'll buy gift cards, or I'll buy whatever. Like, I just wanted to give them money so that they could be supported throughout, because I want the benefit of having that, right? And I look at, like, DAZN as very similar to that. Like, if I don't get it, like, I got the product anyways, right? And sure, I had to pay for it and others didn't. But the point is like, I don't care. I just want to see pool grow. And I know that this is a good way of doing that and supporting it. So I just don't understand the type of person who's going to, like, look at it and be like, no, this sucks.
The one thing I'll say about this is that, and this has to do with, I'm sorry, I don't know this stuff. Is the zone different than DAZN? Is that same? Okay,
it's the same.
So,
well, DAZN. DAZN is the proper pronunciation of it. People just call it DAZN.
Okay, so the zone. So the only thing I'd say is I didn't know all the options. Okay, so I thought that the only option to watch a subscription service where it's like you have to subscribe, or can you pay per pay-per-view like $1 per day? I guess I didn't know, because here's the only reason I ask is this. I want to support the streams. I want to watch, first of all, and I also want to pay to watch. The only thing is, I'm very personally, just as not about like in general, I'm not coaching other people, but personally, I really, really have a strong resistance to subscription services where I'm going to put in information. They're going to auto bill me unless I cancel. There's a lot of places that do that. And if you just subscribe, pretty soon you got a dozen services in your life. You stop using half of them, forget to subscribe. 5 years later, you check back and you've spent $1,000 on something you don't use anymore and you feel violated. I have a personal thing where I like to pay manually per view. If I want to buy something, I want to spend the money, but I don't want to be committing myself and having to manage all this auto bill. So that's the only thing that stops me from doing auto subscription.
DAZN is a monthly. It's a monthly, or you can buy it annually, and you get their channel for the entire month. So you don't have to give them any information. You can go online and buy a DAZN gift card like you do a gift card anyplace else, and plug in for that month and get in and get out. So
That's it.
it's a pretty simple process.
So as long as I think that's really, really good, because I think that I was confused about, and has nothing to do. I don't think that has anything to do with Matchroom. That has to do with my understanding of the DAZN payment options. So as long as people know that you don't have to subscribe, you can buy the events you want to watch. Then I think everybody needs to pay and watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get the idea that like some people are just upset that they had to pay $20 and other people got it for free. But if you told that same person who at least thinks that they like pool and they want to see the benefit of pool grow, and you said, all right, well, your $20 is going to go towards this still, even though you don't have to pay for it. Like, I want to meet that person who thinks they like pool and thinks they want to see the future of it grow, and will not throw a $20 bill at it to make it grow. I mean, I mean, it's different. It's different if money is tight. Like, I'm not trying to say like you should give your last penny to DAZN or Matchroom to grow the sport. But like, if you have the $20 and you're the same person that'll go to the bar and buy 7 drinks every Friday night with your buddies, and you're knitting about $20. I mean, it just falls on deaf ears to me. I think a good point was brought up also, and this is the reason why I've never been a fan of pay-per-view, and I never will be. Pay-per-view does not introduce people to the sport. Like nobody's sitting at home as Johnny 13-year-old who's never even heard of pool and is going to pay $20 to DAZN to watch the U.S. Open or the UK Open. I mean, to get introduced to the game, you have to be able to see. You have to be exposed to it, and no one's going to spend money to do that now.
Well, could they ever like have the first couple rounds be free and push it out to as many people as they can? Do lots of interviews to create story drama, get people emotionally engaged, then say, okay, now the final 16 on out is pay-per-view, and if you want to finish watching this event that you're hooked on, now you get to pay. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not a promoter, but
that's exactly what they did.
Yeah,
that's exactly what he did. You could watch YouTube and Facebook for the first 4 days, and then if you wanted to watch Saturday and Sunday, you had to get DAZN. That's the perfect way to do it. Have you got involved in this? Have you been watching it? Do you want to know who wins it? Right now, you got to pay for the rest of it. We've given you enough for free. Yeah. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think they've done that fine. I don't know if I would
say perfect way of doing it. The perfect way of doing it is just giving it all for free, right?
But then you've got to get yourself onto terrestrial television and do that, or you stay on Facebook and YouTube, which is not a professional production.
Well, now we're getting into a bigger, the bigger issue of like, do you want long-term success or do you want short-term success? Because the way that you're talking is much better for short-term success, but it's going to be much less likely to build a clientele long-term. Where if you get the clientele built up and you get people introduced to the game that actually want to support it, theoretically in the future, ESPN's going to be like, oh, all right, the UK Open is streaming on Facebook and they have 50,000 people watching it right now. Like,
so my understanding of something like DAZN is the same as Sky Sports. Basically, if you buy DAZN, you can watch the boxing, you can watch the racing, you can watch it. So you've got all these sports fans who already have DAZN, and now they can watch pool. So it's not that everybody that's watched the pool has got DAZN to watch pool. They've all got the pool. They've all got DAZN because they like the boxing, they like the football, they like whatever. And then all of a sudden, now I can watch pool. I've already paid for it. I'll get so it's already there. It's not that people have to pay it to see it for the first time. They've already got a subscription for other sports. Exactly. They're growing it anyway.
Okay, so do you have DAZN? You don't need it, right? You got sports.
I am able. Let's just say I am able to watch the pool on every single available channel throughout the world that Matchroom are sending out on. I can choose basically. Yeah. Right or wrong, I can basically choose.
I have a VPN too that I can use that I can watch it for free too. But I choose to pay for DAZN because I choose to support Matchroom. Like at the end of the day, like I choose to pay my $20 when I don't have to because I could just go onto my VPN and watch it from anywhere in the world. I choose to pay the $20 because I want to support Matchroom. Now, with that being said, to your point there, sure, I paid for DAZN and now I can watch all this boxing. That is not. I've never watched a single boxing match using DAZN. I bought it for pool. Now I've watched some snooker, so that's kind of to your point. But I'm interested in Q sports. At the end of the day, I'm interested in Q sports. I'm not going to watch MMA. I'm not going to watch racing. I'm not going to watch boxing because I'm not interested in that. Now I've been exposed to those things because those things are on TV more mainstream than pool is. So I've been exposed to boxing, and I realize I don't really care about boxing. I've seen racing. I'm not interested in racing. If I had never been exposed to that, so I mean, I don't even know. Let me pull up the zone and let's see what some of the weirder sports are, and let's see if there's something.
No, I mean, there's Nate, the sunshine on my phone, but there's Nate. Is it Nate Johnson said, "No, Jim, I have the zone for pool only." Yeah, okay, you have the zone for pool only, but that's not my point. My point is that you will still create new pool viewers because they already have a DAZN subscription for other sports. You know, to say that every new viewer has had to get a subscription for DAZN is not true. There's still enough.
Sure.
DAZN have got millions of people are subscribed to DAZN.
You do not know that. There's no way you know that.
What? There's a million people subscribed to DAZN. Right, there's 1,025,000. I might be closer. I don't know. I don't know exactly how many, but there's lots of people that are subscribed to DAZN. I'm sure some of them are watching the pool. They must have done. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I don't know.
Some people just watch. Some people are just sports junkies, and they'll buy something just because they want to watch lots of different sports. You know, Jim is just cheap and doesn't pay for pool to grow, and that's why it's like people like him. Oh, well, Steve. Okay. That's my phone's in the. Oh, it's Stephen Fair. Yeah, I'm not going to answer.
I think that when it comes to playing the event, look, we're all pool players. So when it comes to like what was our experience playing, that's one thing. When it comes to how do we feel that this tournament ran as a player experience compared to other tournaments, we have some experience there. When it comes to how Matchroom could run events, you know, some of us have offered suggestions, but when it gets into how to market the sport and how to grow across channels and how to set it up, whether it's pay-per-view or not, like we're kind of, I'm sorry, man, I feel like we're all kind of talking out our rears. I feel like Matchroom is an international production company that has a lot more experience and insight and education. And I mean, I feel like we're a bunch of 500 Fargo rates when it comes to marketing, talking to Matchroom, who's like an 800, and we're like trying to give advice. And it's like, hey, we can have ideas and suggestions, but I kind of feel like we've kind of crossed into. We got to know when we've gone too far here.
Yeah, I think that's true. Honestly, I think that's true. All right, well, I guess let's talk about the absolute dead positives of it. I think that venue.
Are we going to talk about the actual pool playing at some point?
Yeah.
All right. Let's. All right, fair. Let's just go into that.
Let's talk about Telfer's second round win.
Yeah, Telfer, tell us about it.
Yeah, what was your TPA on that one?
400.
We lost him.
Yeah, Jim's all quiet now.
Things are getting better and better here.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll just ignore Jim then.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're good.
All right. Yeah, I won my second match 9-1. I missed one ball. I played all right. Yeah. I played okay. I don't know what TPA was, but yeah, just for Stephen Fair, you're right. I didn't take the $20 DAZN because I was there at the venue, putting my time and effort into the sport. So you can go do one.
All right, so let's actually get into the finals, or the actual event. Joshua Filler. All right, take your little circle, Jim. Go on. Be happy.
Well, okay. I say it. There's 4 guys that are going to win these events, in my opinion. That's it, and they keep winning them. So 2 of them are in the semi-finals again. So
who are your 4? Remind us, Jim.
Shane, Filler, Jason Shaw, and Albin O'Shawn. That's it. I don't see anybody other than. I mean, Sanchez did really. I mean, I want to talk about. I mean, we can talk about the guys that won. And stuff
I think FSR had the best tournament.
How about playing 256 field and playing the maximum amount of matches you could possibly play? And almost winning it. You know, he went out in round 1. He was 6-0 down in losers round 1. 6-0 down in losers round 1. He comes back and gets the final. Brilliant performance. What a player. I would love to see. I think now, from what I saw of him, I watched quite a lot of his pool. He's the one guy that would be a rookie for me on the Moscone Cup. He stands out above the rest of them. And he's the guy I'd be more than happy to have him in the team, I think.
Yeah, I watched him win Derby too, and just watching the finals, there's a lot of shots that I think Jeremy Jones commented on it too. I was watching the finals and I heard Jeremy say the same thing I was thinking, which is there's a lot of shots that can be struck successfully in different styles. There's some shots where you can kind of cinch the ball with more of a tentative shot, and then but you can also shoot the same shot and just kind of go all in on it a little bit. And there's certain things where when people are uncomfortable and nervous and people are trying to they play it one way, but when they're just he just seemed like he was playing the shots in a way that said, I'm ready to deliver. I'm here to play. And he full speed ahead, foot on the gas, here and now. Yeah, he made a couple mistakes, laughed him off, but played exceptionally well. And there was so I'm not thinking of a specific example. I'm probably not capturing it that well. I'll just say that the way that he shot the shots he shot was pretty inspiring.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah, I think he had I understand that Josh won this tournament, but I think Francisco Sanchez Ruiz had the best tournament of anybody in that field. I mean, he was up 7-5 against Josh, and he won like 14, 15 matches, 16 matches, something like that after lose. And you got to remember, like, he lost his first match, and then he was down. I want to say he was down 6-2 in his second match.
He was 6-0.
6-0. Yeah. So then he was also down 6-2. Sweet. But he's down 6-0 in his second match. He's about to go 2-0 from the tournament and goes on and makes it to the finals and has a 7-5 lead in the finals. I mean, that's incredible.
Then has to sit there after
and watch Josh run a 5.
Perfectly hitting a jump shot on a 1 and turns around at 7-7, watches Josh crap in a shot on a jump shot that he missed by about 4 inches, and then run 5 and out from there. That's about as cold a roll as you get right there. But, he had a great tournament.
It is, and Josh got 2 big rolls. One where he almost scratched on a safety and corner hooked the guy. But I'll tell you, the other thing though is that at one point he might have been down. Filler might have been down a rack, and he had come with a good shot and made a good run out. And he stuck the break perfect and got kissed to the side at a spot where then Sanchez. I mean, the rolls come and go, and of course, everyone's gonna. You're not gonna play a set of 9 ball without getting a roll or getting a bad roll or a good roll. I think Jeremy said it best. He said it's about what you do with it. Lots of people slop at a ball. Some people slop at a ball and don't run out. Some people slop at a ball and get out and then break and lose the cue ball. Some people slop at a ball and then run a 5-pack in the finals of a major. So I mean, you know what I mean.
There's your difference between Josh winning and being out of the tournament, because he got lucky on a bumped in ball like that and ran a 5-pack and ran out. And in his final against Alexa crapped into 1 ball and then immediately missed the 2 on Hill.
Right.
So yeah, and that's the difference between the guy who's going to win a tournament and the guy who's not going to. But Josh played so well. It was ridiculous.
Just that out, the out that Josh left himself to win that Hill match against Alexa.
Oh, it was amazing.
But the balls that he was comfortable leaving himself, the position from the 7 to the 9, he just wanted to be anywhere on that right hand side of the table, and he fancied himself to make the 9. And the way he played the 9, he dragged it in with a bunch of right hand side round 2 rails. To play it like that's not the easiest way to pot that ball. But he's gone down there. It's almost like in his head, they always say that play position when you're playing the 9. Like a proper shot, then you don't lose the white ball. You won't lose the white ball if you play position for an imaginary 10th ball, And it was almost like he played that to play position on an imaginary 10 ball. And the way in that 9, at Hill, to play like that, those last few balls, that's just insanely confident. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. If he's on the table, he's a favorite to make the shot.
Well, it was
2 balls are on the same table. He's a pretty good chance.
It's almost like I was speaking to a guy in the crowd, and it's almost like Josh has got this little box inside him, and he puts in all the nervous energy, all the negative stuff, the nervous energy, the tension that he's going through in the match. He keeps it in that box, and he's able to just ignore it and not let it pop open, not let it overflow. And then you saw he makes a 9 ball, he goes round the crowd, and the box just opens, and he's going crazy, and it's so difficult to do, not to let that. You look at other players. I watched experienced back arm shaking all the way through Hill matches or last racks, and they're proper experienced players shaking. Josh is just cold. It's crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
It's kind of sick.
Amazing.
I mean,
That's sick. That's sick.
there's nobody. I mean, Josh is the best. I mean, at this level that he's playing at right now, I mean, if he can maintain this, is anybody going to say that he's not the greatest who ever did it? I mean, we're talking way short, but I mean, the highs that he's reaching right now are just silly.
Yeah, I don't know that it's I mean, I feel like what year did he win the U.S. Open World Championship? It's starting to run. Was that 2017 or 2018? Like
17, 18.
It's just been like 4 or 5 years, guys. And yeah, he had like over COVID. Like what are his dips? Well, his dips were COVID. You know what I mean? Was that really a dip or was that a lack of tournaments? We just didn't get to see him for a year and a half. Like the bottom line is, since he's been around, he's been winning majors and winning everything. And I don't know. I mean, he's not the only guy winning. Like Jim says, you got a few other guys, and you're not only are you going to have Shaw, Shane, and you didn't mention Federer on that list. Of course, once Federer's back in the mix, but like the bottom line, of course, other guys are going to win tournaments, but man, he's a bright star for sure.
Well, let me ask if I can butt in. I'd like to ask Chris. I mean, you played in the tournament, you were around the tournament, you watched a lot of matches. We know who the stars are. Who impressed you that you got to see play? Who did you not know a lot about there, or who really stood out to you, and what made them catch your eye?
So there was the young kid from Finland, Ricky Rompunen, I think.
Ricky, yeah.
So he obviously, he looked like he can play really, really well, and he's got a lot of bottle and a lot of nerve. So he could do really well in the future. Other people I didn't really know that Alexia Pikelj, can't really remember his name, but yeah, he looked really, really good. There's a guy from the UK that I didn't really know. He played before I started, a guy called Luke Rollerson. So he beat a couple of really good players during the tournament. He's got a lot of people you see in the UK have very rigid styles of playing. So it's all snooker or English 8-ball style. He had a really kind of loose, kind of 9-ball Filipino style of playing, which is really nice to watch. That's probably the main three for me, I think.
Yeah. Didn't Luke want to beat Copigny?
That was Luke Garland.
Luke Garland,
right.
I think Luke Garland ran a 7-pack against him and ran a 7-pack in the match before that. Is that right, Jim?
The match before.
Luke beat Mark Maggi and Abdullah Oyosef. And I think JJ beat didn't JJ beat Copigny on the B side?
No, he beat one of the cores, but not the.
I think it was Copigny. Yeah, because Coping Chung was beat by Nick De Leon.
Okay, but anyway, yeah, I mean, Cole broke first. Garland won the rack, and then he ran 7 after that to go 8-0 up. Cole started soft breaking at 8-4. Luke said to the referee, "Can you come and watch this guy's break? He's soft breaking." The crowd had already started to form, and everybody was saying, he's soft breaking. He's on a 4-pack now. Wouldn't surprise if he runs a set here from 8-0 down. The referee stands at the end of the table to watch his break. Hasn't said anything to Cole. Just stands at the end of the table to watch his break. Cole realizes he's been watched. He hits it a little bit harder. Dry breaks, and Luke runs it out for a 9-4. Yeah.
I want to respond to a comment though. So there's been talk about Ricky and how amazing and on a trajectory to be as good as Filler or possibly better. I listen. I just want to say I'm not here to predict. I'm not here to hacks anybody or predict anything. But I think that it's really, really, really misleading to watch somebody's trajectory on the early part of their pool career and then try to extrapolate that to the later part of their pool career. Because in my experience, like from what I've seen, getting from like 770 to 800 or 820 is far harder than getting to 770 and it gets exponentially harder. So like, for example, I think that like, if I could tell you, it was almost like the easy part of my pool journey. Well, I don't want to throw it. I don't want to assault it, but I think like getting to 700 is compared to getting from 700 to like 730, 740. It's like that last 30 points was like a lifetime's worth of work for me anyway. And I'm not competing internationally. what I'm trying to say is, and then the other problem is that a chain is composed of a lot of links. So if you've got the break and you've got shot making, you've got mental game, and you've got cue ball and safeties and all these different things. And if somebody's playing world class on almost every one of them, and they have a lot of talent and a lot of skills and a lot of those parts, but everybody's going to have a couple parts that they're not good at, that they're uncomfortable with, that they're challenged with. And when they max out all their strengths as hard as they can, and then they start dealing with their demons and their problems, everybody's going to come to a point of the road where they're faced with stuff that's effectively insurmountable. And listen, it's not just my opinion. If you look at how many players try to be filler, how many players try to be filler. How many guys do we have like John Mora, or Chris Melling, where these guys have devoted their life to the game? And look at Chris Melling is such an exceptional talent with his stroke and his ability and his power. And you watch a guy like that, and when he's coming up, it's like, oh man, this guy's going to be the best ever. And there's for every filler, there's 100 guys that you would think would be filler, but it's almost impossible to do. And so again, it's the same thing I said to Nate when he was talking about Victor. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying you basically, it's not done until it's done, and it's almost impossible to do. So I think that you can talk about potential, you can talk about trajectory, you can get excited and root them on, but I think it's premature to. You have to do it. You just have to do it.
I don't argue. Sounds good to me. Well, let me jump in here and do the actual the results of this, because I still haven't done that. We've already obviously said Joshua Filler wins. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz gets second place. Third, fourth was shared with Shane Van Boning and David Al-Qaidi. 5th through 8th went to Sky Woodward, Daniel McCole, Mario He, and Alexa Picecci. Was that how to pronounce that?
I don't know.
Pichelch, I think, somewhere.
Pichelch, okay. Well, sure, good enough. Couple of kind of a Imran Majid. That was a pretty good tournament for him. I feel like he deserves a small shout out as well for making the final 16. You haven't really seen him play. Yeah, and we're going to talk about the World Cup of Pool here now, and I'm going to transition us into that.
I have to
earn his way into it.
Go back to work.
Yeah, and Nate, I'm going to have to bow out pretty quick.
Don't worry, Jim. Anybody makes a mistake, we're good.
I'm going to have to bow out in just a minute, but I just want to respond to this last comment when Trevor says that's what I'm saying if he stays hungry. If you want something bad enough and are willing to put in for it, you can achieve it. I just disagree. I think that if you look at the number of players that are 760 to 800 that have spent their life devoted to try to be the best pool player they can, I think they all wanted it. I think they all tried really hard. Now you could point to some of them and say, okay, they've got, maybe you could point to Billy Thorpe and say, well, maybe his discipline and work ethic, or maybe he hasn't played all the international events. And so he hasn't put in enough. But Tyler's playing all the events. He's practicing like a fiend. He wants it. John Mora, since he was 16, has been running around playing full time. He wants it. Like these guys, I don't know, man. I think that there's a lot of, you've got 100 people that are playing full time that want it, and there's only one spot for a guy like Filler, or 3 or 4 spots. So I don't really think. I think that if what you're talking about is I want to be the best player in my league, and I'm playing in an amateur league, I think if you want it enough, yes, you can get that. But I think there's a point at which desire breaks down, which is the being hungry and wanting it bad enough. That doesn't the question is, here's the question, Trevor, and I'm just talking with you. I'm not like lecturing or shouting. I just get passionate. I think, I think that, okay, I think the point is that you have to ask this question. What are you doing that your opponents aren't doing? And if you're playing in a junior league where most junior players aren't doing what you're doing, you can set yourself apart from them. And if you're playing in an amateur league and you're like, well, I'm doing these things that they're not doing, and I'm going to set myself apart from them. But once you're playing 100 international full-time touring pros, like playing all the time, having a ton of desire, wanting it really bad, those things no longer separate you from your competition. And so it's harder to distance yourself from them. That's all. And yes, it's exceptional. The part I definitely agree with you is your last comment, which is, our 13 and 14-year-olds in the world right now. I will say that I just spent some time with Ed Vondrell last night. He just turned 14. You know, he's playing really well. I'm getting together with Hank the Tank. He's another 14-year-old that's running. The last time I played him, he broke and ran 3 racks of 10 ball on me in a big table. The interesting part is these kids are playing in the 18 and under, and the people winning the 18 and under. Well, Joey Tate won the 18 and under, but Ed took second. The funny part is the 14 and 13-year-olds are representing really well in the 18 and under because the game has progressed so quickly, and the young guys are getting so good so young that the people in the 18 and under that are very competitive, it's a lot of 13 and 14-year-olds. So I will agree that the young talent is coming faster and stronger, and I do expect that some of them are going to go on and do great things. Those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to take this and let's go over to the World Cup of Pool. And
okay, I'm gonna bow. Thank you very much, guys.
Sure. All right, so we're gonna Panozzo and Chris. We'll take this one on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this list so that we all can see it. So everybody can see this, I hope. You guys, yeah, sure. So I guess the big glaring thing for me right off the bat is Germany doesn't get a chance to repeat. So Christoph was in the chat in the earlier on. I don't know if he's still out there, but they won it last year, Christoph and Joshua Filler. And, you know, I mean, if there's one thing that Emily has done for the most part, I mean, unless you're a legend like Earl or Efren or something like that, is there are no spots that are just guaranteed for the sake of being who you are or what you've done in the past for the most part. I mean, you actually have to earn your spot. And if you're not playing a lot of pool, if there's one thing that she is definitely consistent on, there is no spot that is guaranteed. And Christoph, we have not seen him hardly at all since last year. So, I mean, I guess, what do you guys think of that, not getting a chance to represent?
I mean, he's going to feel hard done by, no doubt. But, you know, as Matchroom are feeling their way through these types of issues, this is an invitational. They're well within their right not to invite him. But, you know, if I was him, yeah, I'd be disappointed. He's obviously probably got a reasonably good chance of winning it again with Josh. Josh is going to carry them a long way. Renchies is a great player as well. You know, I've seen him play a bit in Holland a little while ago. So, yeah, he's, you know, good player in his own right. Quite a good pairing, having somebody so strong and then having somebody who's really willing to be led, which I think he was. But, yeah, difficult one for him. Difficult.
Mike, what you think?
No, it's a tough call. I mean, you know, I do like that you're not automatically in because you won last year. Although on individual events, it's always going to be the case where you're going to get invited back if you won the previous year. But, you know, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure how he was chosen last year. I don't remember. I mean, with COVID, I don't know if there were any kind of rankings, if it was just a convenience thing because of COVID and travel that he was able to come with Josh from Germany or whatever the case was. So
my memory says that Josh picked him.
So
now I could be wrong on that. I'm very open to be wrong on that. But I think Josh picked him.
You know, so if it's any case like that, then you know, he shouldn't be surprised that he wasn't an automatic pick to come back. You know, by the same token, you know, is Torsten the second best German? Is he ahead of Ralph? You know, I don't know. I don't know how they picked these teams, to tell you the truth. But it doesn't bother me either way. I think that they came up with, you know, like Chris said, it's an invitational event. It's their choice on who plays with who. They're trying to make it as merit based as it can be, but there's always going to be a little wiggle room there, which is how you get an Efren in there. You know, we want great matches. We want great teams. We want something that's fun to watch. And you know, so that's what they've done. I mean, Mario He has won the World Cup pool several times with Albin. He's not there. And it's not like he's been playing poorly or hasn't been playing at all in the past year. He's been playing great. So, you know, changes like this, they're going to happen. I don't have any problem with them. You know, people are going to play their way into whatever tournaments they can get into by merit. And this is going to be one of those. It's going to be mostly merit, but not 100%. But it's again, it's an invitational. It's a programming thing. It's an event. They want to make it as compelling as they can. So I have no problem with it.
Yep. I mean, I at the end of the day, I mean, like I said in the beginning of this, if there's one thing that Matchroom is consistent on, if you're not doing the right things, if you're not playing, if you're not traveling, if you're not acting like a professional, you're not going to be treated as a professional. And I'm not saying that like Christoph is not acting like a professional as far as like his attitude, but he's not playing, right? He wasn't playing in the UK Open. He wasn't playing in maybe he played in the World Pool Championships. Honestly, I'm not sure if he did there or not, but I just haven't been seeing him around. And I don't think that you're going to get too many arguments that this isn't the best team that Germany can create. I mean, if you want to say Ralph is playing awesome too, sure. But I think that with the tournament finishes that Thorsten has had in the last few months, that do you guys disagree that this would be the best team on paper that they can create?
No, probably, it probably is, and I'm sure Matchroom have taken that into consideration when they were picking, what is going to be the best team for them.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess, are there any, looking at this list, are there any teams that are interesting to you?
They're all interesting. I like the Peruvian team.
It's going to be cool to see Chris. I think it's Tevez after his runner-up finish in the 10 ball. I think that the World 10 ball. I think it's going to be interesting to see him back out there again.
Yeah, great to see. I like they've got different teams. They've got some new. They've got an Argentine team. So yeah, all good stuff. Should be a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great event. It's one of the most enjoyable events to watch, just because I love the Scotch doubles format. Trading shots, the discussion between the teams, the national pride. It's really cool stuff.
I think the one that I think the other low hanging fruit as far as an interesting team is, of course, Albin Ocean and Max Lechner, of course, because Mario, he lost his spot after winning 3 of the last 5 years or something. Was it 2 of the last 4 years or 3 of the last 5 years, whatever it was?
2, yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. But of course, they did go out in the first round last year, but they went out to a team that ended up making the semifinals. So it's.
Yeah, it can happen. And Max, out of all the individual players on this list here, is there a more deserving person than Max to be on?
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly been knocking on the door in the past year or two, and has kind of been left out when he should have been included maybe once or twice in a couple different events. So this is a good make good, get him on the team, and he and Albin are thick as thieves. So should be a great pairing. Should be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be. I mean, obviously, that's the other low-hanging fruit. I think there's 3 very, very interesting teams: the Germany, Austria, and then I think the Philippines, of course. Efren Reyes making the team again, and I mean, I actually, to be honest with you, I kind of have a problem with this, and I have a problem with this for the reason that there are a lot of. No one's going to say that Efren Reyes is probably even a top 50 player in the Philippines. Right. I don't think that you could make the argument he's a top 50 player. And on top of that, to be honest with you, it's a third world country, right? I mean, it's a very poor country, and I think you're honestly taking a chance away from somebody who could actually I'm not saying like they need the income, but like the idea is like you're giving an opportunity to somebody who's obviously at this point in his career, besides the legend that he's built, because of course, I mean, everyone's favorite player usually, or at least they think the greatest of all time is Efren Reyes, and I believe that too. I think he's the greatest of all time, but that doesn't change the fact that he's not worthy of that spot, at least from a playing perspective right now. And I mean, it's a marketing thing, it's a TV show at the end of the day, but I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, has DeLuna not been picked because he decided to go to a 10-ball tournament rather than play in the UK Open? Possibly. James Morales hasn't played in a lot of the Matchroom events, I don't think. Maybe the couple that have been in the States. I don't know really who else they were gonna pick. And for Matchroom,
you're talking Anton Raga. I mean, there's so many players that you can pick.
Well, I'm not denying they've got a load of players. Yeah. I'm just saying who's turning up and putting their name in the Matchroom hat. They're not.
I'll say this: Efren isn't.
Efren hasn't, but it's a great wild card for Matchroom to be able to pick. Right, all of the Philippines are going to tune in to watch it if it's on at a reasonable time. He's as famous as it gets over there.
Oh, he's a legend. I mean, it's definitely a marketing ploy. Like I understand the idea that this is a TV show, and he is going to get ratings through the roof. I mean, this is a genius plan or a genius idea for Matchroom as far as like just getting ratings. But to be honest, it's almost not even fair to Carlo Beato.
It's almost.
I don't think Carlo Beato is going to complain about playing.
I don't think.
With Efren Reyes in a Scotch doubles thing. So,
sure.
Listen, it like you said, it's made for TV. It's one player out of 64 that you may have a little bit question with. You let them do what they want to do. I'm going to watch that match, and if he was playing with Roberto Gomez, am I going out of the way to watch that match? Probably not.
No, I'll be glued to I'll be glued to the TV. Yep, absolutely. I mean, I don't care if it's on at 3 a.m. I'll be watching that match from start to finish. It's very interesting. You just look at I mean, at the end of the day, the World Cup of Pool is not a serious event as far as I shouldn't say a serious event, but there is no smokescreen that you're picking the 2 best players from every single country. And it's been like that for several years now. So, I mean, I get the idea of it. And to be honest, like it is going to be genius. I mean, this might be whatever that match is, whoever they draw, that will be the highest, that will probably rate higher than the finals. I mean, unless they continue to win every single match that they continue to win going on to the finals, it's going to be, more and more and more, but whatever match if they only play one match, that'll probably be the highest rated of that, of that event.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I guess let's move on from the Philippines. Let's talk favorites at this point. What do you guys think? If you had to pick one favorite and then one dark horse, what do you guys got, Chris?
Spain. I'm going for Spain this time. I think Al-Qaeda and FSR. It's going to be tough to beat this year. They've been paired up how many times before? 3 times before, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, at least.
But I still fancy them for it, especially the way they're both playing. They're both playing great. Beforehand, previous years, you'd probably say David quite a bit, definitely more experienced, probably playing better than Fran. But now you've got to say they're probably.
Who's your dark horse?
My dark horse, I'll go for Jim and Chris Melling. I'll go for G, Great Britain, B as a kind of dark horse, I guess. They're not really dark horse, they're both really, really well known. But it'll be interesting to see how. So I don't know whether Jason didn't pick Chris. I don't know whether that was the case or not. But I did always think that Jason and Chris were a match made in hell. They're not going to. They're great mates off the table, but their playing styles on the table. And you could see it in between shots at previous tournaments where they played together. They're having a bit of a discussion about who should play what shot.
Yeah.
I believe they can do anything so they get down and play the shot that the other person didn't want to play. And, kind of a bit of that going on. So I think for Elliot playing with Jason, it was great for him. Imran and Chris, I just don't know what that pairing is going to throw up, but it could work like a dream.
All right, what you got, Panozzo?
My favorite, I'm going to go with Misko and Wojciech. And for my dark horse, I'm going to go with Loho Sum Robbie Capito.
I'll tell you what, Robbie Capito. I mean, I've known the name for a couple of years now, but I think he's getting ready to enter into that. That
Richter
middle
that Richter level.
No, not that. No, not that level. Not that level. But I think Robbie Capito is getting to the point where he is going to be a household name. Not in like a threat to win any single tournament that he plays in, but one that could definitely go deep into any event. Semifinals, quarterfinals, something like that. I think he's getting to the point now where his game is getting to that level. So I could see that. And Loho Sum's playing great. I mean, he's playing with confidence, clearly. All right. Well, I'm gonna go with Poland too, and that's of course because Wojciech's on that team, and whatever. I don't care. I'm a homer. I like Wojciech, And I like Mieszko, so we're going Team Poland. My dark horse is going to be, I think it's going to be Kuwait. I think actually that team could end up. I could see Kuwait winning this tournament. I could absolutely see Omar. Omar had a stretch last year where if he wasn't winning everything, he was right in the mix in the last 4 on every single event, and he's fallen off of that big time. But I think that. He's played on that stage. He's been there, and he's done all right. He's done fine, and I think that Bader is again another player that's kind of coming through the ranks and putting his time in and building up. And I could see that team going deep too.
Where's Al Yusuf from? I thought Al Yusuf was from Kuwait.
He's Kuwaiti as well.
Yeah.
I thought that the team this year should have been Al Yusuf,
Omar,
and
Omar, right?
Well, could have been.
Yeah.
Omar really hasn't done much in the past.
Yeah, you could argue
the past 12 months to dazzle me, but it's great that Kuwait's got to the point now where you got 3 guys who are fighting for 2 spots, all of equal ability. So good for them.
Very, very similar to Austria. Now they're on different levels, of course. I'm not trying to say that Kuwait's 3 players are the same, but they're the same kind of style where you have 3 guys that are potentially fighting over those 2 spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. Did you guys want to take any time to discuss the Jason Shaw 714 to 669?
He seems upset about it. 2 world records now, right? So he was saying the other day it's been he's got the unofficial and the official or something. I don't know what he was trying to say, but he didn't seem too upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely twisting it into a positive.
He's going to beat it in like 2-3 weeks' time anyway, so what does it matter? It's only a talking point for the next couple of weeks, and then he's going to go and run 8,000, 9,000 probably. He's going to do 1,000, I'm sure of it.
Think so?
I think so. He can definitely
put him in his place.
No, 1,000's a lot to run. 1,000's a lot to run, but you got to get really lucky to run that many racks without getting hooked on a break or without getting kicked. It was something, but the great thing about straight pull is that there is no limit to what you can run. It's infinite. Can he make 1,000 shots? Yeah. Is he going to get 1,000 shots? You don't know. So, I don't know. I think that there's, I don't know. I'm kind of played out on the race to break the straight pull records. It doesn't do it for me right now, to tell you the truth.
Well, I think you're the only person then.
Do you think 1,000 is
probably
possible?
Not surprising?
Mike, you think 1,000 is possible? Or you think that's just
I think anything's possible. Like I said, there's no limit to what you can do. There's no rule in the game that says you have to stop at a certain point. There's no, but I just think that you'd have to get. But I thought you'd have to get extremely lucky to get 700.
Yeah.
So, it's all luck of the break, luck of the lay of the balls, and where it goes from there. He's not going to miss shots that he can see. I know that. But you got to get all those up. You got to get 1,000 opportunities, and that's tough to do.
I think it's hard to argue against 1,000 until you see Josh at least try it. I think Josh is at this point with the way that Josh is playing. To say 1,000 is impossible, you would have to literally ignore what you watched from Josh in the last month.
I think Jason was perfect for a high run though, straight pull. Because if you watched, my friend texted me when he was doing the last high run, and I only caught the last 7 or 8 runs. But he's just walking around, potting the ball every 2 or 3 seconds, dropping them in like he hasn't got care in the world, running through.
He ran 714 balls in 2.5 hours.
It's just crazy. So energy wise, I watched a bit of John Schmidt starting his run the other day. But it's he's running around and he's jumping over the table and he's there's a lot of energy going on there, whereas Jason's just looks like he's out walking his dog.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff said he would like to see a match between Schmidt and Jason play. I'll guarantee you John doesn't want any of that. I mean, it'd be fun to watch, but I'll guarantee you John wants nothing to do with that as far as big money.
Does John play like competitively anymore? I haven't seen him at any tournaments recently. Is he still trying to play high level?
He did play the International Open. I think he played, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he played the World Championships, but I know he played in one event recently, and it was a big one. So it must have been the International Open.
It was, yeah. He played the International.
Yeah. But that was the first time I've seen him play anything, at least 9-ball or 10-ball related for a while. I mean, probably since before COVID.
Right.
I think he's played a couple of one pocket matchups. I think maybe a one pocket tournament here or there, but I can't think of anything else besides the International Open. I don't know. I don't know. I just want to see Josh do this. I want to. I mean, I want to see Jason do it too. Because I do think that, it's so hard because when you're trying to run this many balls, you're not really avoiding misses as much as you're avoiding. How often is Jason going to miss on a 5-inch pocket or a nearly 5-inch pocket? Really, what you're trying to dodge skids and bad kisses. Yeah, and the way and even the way that he's breaking the balls, I don't even like. I mean, it would take a really bad kick to get kicked in off of the break. I mean, his breaks were so controlled. I mean, obviously that's how his run ended last time, was the scratch into the long rail, which is kind of a fluky one to begin with. But his breaks were so controlled. I mean, for breaking the balls, you're really trying to avoid skids. And having bad kicks off of breakout shots.
Yeah. How the guys doing these big runs keep their concentration for so long is, I just don't know. I seen John doing his the other day. He had headphones in. I think Jason was just walking around kind of in some kind of weird autopilot zone that us normal players don't ever find when he was doing his high run. It's crazy.
It sure is something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the Mike camp there. I think this is exciting, and I think this is the one thing that transcends. Now, you can say that it's you're kind of over it as far as like the pool sense, but I don't think you would argue that this transcends the sport like nothing else, right?
In what way?
The ability to reach outside the industry.
Was there an article about John's high run in the New York Times or something like that, or in some big newspaper?
He was also on Fox, some Fox affiliate. He was also on MSNBC. He was on the Today Show or something like that. Like,
how many of those shows has Jason been on since he got 700?
Well, apparently, I mean, according to Bobby Chamberlain on the podcast that we just did this past week, he's been on all of them.
Okay. I just, I don't think. I think you're over playing, transcending the industry with a straight pool run when 90% of America doesn't know what straight pool is, doesn't know what a straight pool run is, and it's not a competition. So I just don't, I don't know. I thought it was really cool when John did it and we put him on the cover and wrote a big story, but to me that was more about John's personal quest that he had all those years, his respect for Mosconi, his respect for the run, his respect for the game, how much it meant to him, and how he would have tried it whether anybody taped it or not. He would have kept trying it and trying it and trying it. That to me, the journey to me was what the story was. Running 700 balls in a room with nobody there just because I don't see that going anywhere with the sport. I mean, we're trying hard enough to get professional 9-ball, up and, getting it outside of industry circles with what Matchroom and Predator are doing. That's where our efforts should be. And that's where we've got a chance. I don't think, guys, to me, it's like the world record it's like a Guinness World Record thing. Okay, the guy who's got the world record for the most free throws in a row is probably some bald 5'9" hardware salesman from Ohio who just stands there for hours and hours and throws the ball in the basket. And
I don't think that's the right analogy.
It's probably not a good analogy because what they're doing is phenomenal from a concentration and ability standpoint. And straight pool is a great game, but I don't think that this is taking the game anywhere.
I think a better analogy, because everybody knows what basketball is, right? I mean, that's really what you're talking about here. Everybody knows what a free throw is. We're not talking about that. I think that honestly, I think the better analogy is the hot dog eating contest every July 4th, right? Every time, but that's serious, right? Every time they found a little niche, and every time that world record gets broken, it is blown up on all of national media. And to be honest with you, like it could be broken every single year, and it would get highlighted every single year. Like you can't. Like, no, sure, nobody gives a crap about hot dog eating contests the other 364 days a year. Yeah, but during that day, people care.
Yes, and does everybody run out and eat hot dogs the next day? I mean, we want people to go out and start playing pool. We want people to watch pool on TV. We want people whatever.
If you're going to ask that question, you're going to let me answer, because I will guarantee you Nathan's hot dogs stores have a huge bump the entire week leading up and the entire week after that. I would venture to bet my life on that, buddy. You know good and damn well that I bet you Nathan's stocks goes through the roof during that week and then drops down a week later. So yes, I would venture to say that people do go out and eat hot dogs.
Okay.
I'm not saying everybody in the world.
We'll see where straight pool high runs get us.
All I'm saying is if we can get something that actually leads to national recognition each time it happens, even if it's silly hot dog eating contest analogy type of things, we're better off afterwards than we were before.
Yeah, it's difficult to see how it could hurt.
That's my opinion on it. With that being said, like I buy into the buzz of it. I like the buzz of it. I like the work that's going into it, and I think it's good for the sport. You can't argue that whenever these things get broken, that the industry isn't different for the next week. You wouldn't say that.
No, in our little circle, yeah, it's all big news.
Well, as long as I can get you to say that, I'm happy now. What do you guys think? Like, are we ready to wrap this up and go get ourselves some hot dogs?
Please. I live in Wisconsin now. I'm going to get a bratwurst. You can take your Nathan's hot dogs. I eat bratwurst now. Nate.
I hate bratwurst, and I'm from Wisconsin too. We're like neighbors now. We're neighbors, Mike.
I know.
I'll have to. We'll have to. I think tomorrow on my way to Milwaukee to fly to Vegas, I think we should meet up for a cocktail. It'd be fun.
We'll have fun. We got a lot of people to get together with in Vegas. Chris, you're going to be there for the Mosconi Cup?
No, I don't think so. No, but I'll be in America for like 6 or 7 weeks playing.
Are you playing in international or
NBL in New Jersey? I think then the US Open, then the international.
How in the world are you playing the NBL? That's for American residents only.
Well, it's on the Matchroom calendar, and according to
okay, right, okay, I see. The 9-ball, I got you. Yeah.
9-ball one, yeah. So, and then I think there's another tournament in Texas or something during that kind of period. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you both at one of those, maybe.
Yeah, look forward to it.
That's a really funny comment. Matt Poland. That's why the BCA blew their role in having anything to do with it. The hot dog high run of 40 is actually 37 because a crumb fell out of his mouth at 30. That's really funny. I like that. That's really funny. All right. That's a perfect thing to close out on. All right, guys. Thanks. And Chris, welcome to the show. Hopefully everybody likes you.
Thanks for having me. Speak soon.
If not, you'll never be seen again.
Thanks. I'm still waiting for my Manscaped thing, by the way.
You too, huh?
Me that.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll have to talk off the screen.
To me. Okay.